Slightly different video to what you're used to, boys and girls. This is part of my foray into the world of home brewing. Well, I've been brewing my own stuff for ages, but I wanted to investigate like doing it properly instead of just kits. So the intermediate stage, that's just opened itself. Did you see? That's because I had it open. The intermediate stage is what's called partial mash, and this is a partial mash where you do half of the entire process. What you do is you steep some grains and stuff in water, and then you boil it up and add the hops and stuff. But this is the one I thought I'd start with, and I thought I'd start with this one for two reasons. Well, I got two. These are from shopforhomebrew.co.uk. I'll put a link underneath, and this is the Dark Rock Bosses Boss double hopped DIPA, and they've put a video up. I'll put a link to that as well. It's just opened itself on that side. It's desperate to get brewed, isn't it? So this, when they brewed it, they've brewed it with it's trying to get out. They brewed it with 2 kilograms of sugar, and they got a final result. Oh, on their video they say 9%. On the email that they sent me yesterday, they said 9.4%. So that's brilliant. So I'm going to brew it and see if I can get up to 9.4% and then lay waste to all my friends. Let's unpack it and see what is in the box. The main thing you get in here, paquet, is this bag of what looks like a couple of lots of mixed grains. I've kept it in here because unfortunately the bag is split. There's a little, if you can see, so hopefully that won't really affect or impact the kit too much. Hope not. You then get 4 lots of hops, so that's pack A, B, C, D and E. So these are 4 different lots of hops which are vacuum sealed. You get, what's that, 3.5 kilo of a malt extract. You get some pure brew, which I think is like Camden tablets, which makes the water taste better. Some finings and mangrove jack yeast. It looks like they put this kit together themselves because that's separately labelled as £2.20 and whatever. So not an unsubstantial kit if you're used to doing stuff like the Wilco kits, which run in at about what, 16, 20 quid. This was 29 quid, so you get a reasonable amount, and this will make 40 pints at a guesstimated 9.4%. So strong. This isn't a session beer. Right, so let's start mashing with that. Not running to plan this morning. It's nearly 10 o'clock. I wanted to start the mash at 10, but running a little bit late, and the new boiler hasn't heated up. So anyway, I've got 8 litres of water in there. What you do is you put the, well, I'll put it here. You put, I forgot to say, the other thing you get with that kit is a muslin sock to put the grain in, some destructions, and these, one for your brewer and one for your pump tap thing. There's a story behind these. I'll tell you about the branding in a little bit. So when that is up to temp, morning Delilah, when that's up to temp, we'll put that in that and then bung it in that for 30 minutes. Right, back soon, boys and girls. I've set this to be over temperature because when I bung that in, it's going to reduce the temperature. But I didn't quite know by how much to overcook it. So I've done it at 71.5. It needs to be 66. I think it might be a little bit hot for it, but that heater isn't going to kick in now until it drops down to 65.3. So here we go, my first ever partial mash. I know this bench looks really shitty, but it is actually clean. So that is going in here. And oh, look, we have our first mash. So let's make sure that's plonked down in there like that. And there's a little bit that's filtered. You know what? Fuck it. Oops, bung that in as well. And then set the clock. Half an hour. So we're at, well, we'll say 10 past. So 30 minutes. It's actually going the other way. I know why that is. It's because I've just pushed the probe right down onto the bottom. That's all right. It's not going to be for long, and then that should drop now. Yeah, there we are. That's going to drop down, and then it'll kick back in again at about 65 point. Well, there's a 0.3 degree lag on this because you set the parameters. So the heater will come back on at 65 degrees. Ooh. Back soon, boys and girls. Well, half an hour to be precise. It has been the magical 30 minutes. I'm not sure why that's blinking like that. It must be to do with the sync on the camera. Anyway, so the finish mash was 65.4. So it hovered around 65.4 to 67, which isn't brilliant, but it's all right. So now, anyway, we're going to take that out of there. It smells like porridge, by the way, and we're going to filter it, sieve it in here, sieve it, filter it, hang it on. I'll show you. Hang on. So pull the bag out, put it in a whatever that is, sieve thing, big thing. Bought that years ago. Haven't used it, so now I get a chance to use it. And the next thing we're going to do is I'll put that here. Hit this. Put this under here. And pull off some of this juice, this beautiful kind of like porridge water, I suppose is what you'd call it. So rip some of that off, and then you pour it over here, and that's called sparging. Now I really should do it a lot more, but I've got this here ready. So let's take some of this. This is about 65 degrees, I suppose, and all I'm going to do, because we're going to boil this off in a minute, so that was 8. I reckon after an hour's boil it'll be down to 6.5, 6, maybe even 5, because that's a big fucking boiler, that is. So what we're going to do is sparge it. That's another litre of water. Sparge it. And this is really rinsing the last bits out of that bag of grain. And you'll also notice on here I have set the temperature to be 101. That's because the next stage is to bring it up to the boil. So currently at nigh on 70 degrees, 30 degrees to go. I'm going to leave that drain in, not squish it, don't squish it, because that does something else, but just let it drain naturally, normally. In fact, I might give it another little sparge, I don't know. And then we bring it to the boil, and then we bung some hops in. So those are finished draining. That's coming up to the boil. Next is, sorry, that's not this kit, this is another kit, but I've nicked the sock out of it because I didn't want to untie that one over there. And this is part B, or the next stage. Now, a lot of people who make these YouTube videos sort of like reasonably, I've cut it wrong side of the fucking seal, look. Twat. Right. Oh, bollocks. A lot of people who make these YouTube videos, they use a camera, and so they're not dependent on just using one hand. Oh, fuck me, that's lovely. Sorry. That is beautiful. So these are now going to go in there, and then I'm going to bung it in there, but I'm not going to do all that while filming because I've only got 2 hands and I can't hold the camera. Well, it's just the phone. I'm not really that professional, me, you know. So that's boiling away nicely. These are the hops. In they go. Nice. Steam the camera up. Pillock. Pop a lid on, and I think I'm going to adjust this because I've set it to go up to 101. I think it only needs a little rolling boil. So if I set that down now to about 99.8, then as soon as that reaches 99.5, it'll, come on, fucking set. Is that set? Yeah, that's set. So I don't know what it's doing. 99.6. Right, okay, yeah. Look, it's the first time at doing this. Go easy on me. Right, so that needs to boil for 45 minutes, and then we whack in the next lot of hops. So see you in 45 minutes. Yeah. Quick note to self, don't boil it with lids on, otherwise it overflows, froths up and overflows. It's been 45 minutes. I won't do that on camera because I just make a tit of myself. So this is pack C. This are the finishing hops. It says drag the old bag out that's already in there and put them in, but I've emptied the grains out of the other bag, rinsed it out and put the hops in there, and oh, that smells very fresh, citrusy. Bung those in. I don't know if you can see. Bung those in and wait another 15 minutes, and then it's time for add the malty extracty stuff. It is done, and you know what? Oh God, steam the lens up, why don't you? Now it's time to pour it into there. The only reason I put that here is to catch the bags of hops, but the thing is, it's lost so much that I'm not going to be able to pour. Oh, fuck it. I'm not going to be able to pour it through the poury spouty thing because it's all evaporated away. So from that, probably 8, and then 1 litre, 1.5 litre, maybe 2 litre that I used to sparge. So that's 10 litres is all boiled away, and it's left this thicky sticky gloop in the bottom. So I'm now going to pour that into there and then back soon. Less than 2 litres, so that's between 6 and 8 that has boiled off. Wow, that's definitely a bit crazy. Okay, so, and I think one of these bags is split. Maybe not. Ouch, fuck, that's hot. Because there's bits of hoppy bits here. Never mind. It's all a learning circle. Next we put the malt extract in, and these have been soaking in bloody hot water for a while. I'm going to cut the top off and pour them in there, and then rinse those out with some boiling water, not from in there, but some boiling water from kettle. I can have a quick look in here. Yeah, that's going to need a bit of a clean out. Yeah, super. Malt. That's those poured into there and rinsed out. Look at that. Where did I put that? I sterilised a... Oh. Sterilised a paddle. Let's give this a little swish around. Smells amazing. Look at that. Oh, I'm just gonna stand here and smell it. Sad bastard. Okay now. Right. Next is the sugar. Now, here's the thing. On the Shop for Homebrew site, and which I'll put a link underneath, down here, just pointed towards my groin then. That's strange. You know what I mean. Down there, in the description of this video, I'll put a link to both where I bought the kit from, Dark Rock Brewing, and also the video that Shop for Homebrew did. And they did this kit with 2 kilograms of brewing sugar, dextrose monohydrate, and got 9.4%, as I've said before. I got an email this morning from Andrew at Dark Rock Brewing, and because I'll explain why later. And he said, look, we've suggested you only use one now because 9.4 is just too much. It's too strong a beer. So how much shall I put in? It's a tough call. 1 kilogram does about 7%. Well, 7% is still a strong beer. So the difference between that 9.4 to, I'm going to put 1.5 kilos in, which we measured out of this 25 kilo sack. We got all that and all that ready to go. Oh, and some shelf things for the freezer. So yeah, 1.5 kilos, and then I'm going to take it upstairs to where the fermenting fridge is and top up the water and then do a hydrometer reading. So yeah, 1.2. No, sorry, what am I talking about? 1.5. 1.5 kilos of brewing sugar. Cleaned all those pouches out with some boiling water, and we are up to just under 6, just over 6.5 litres. So now I've got to top it up to 22.5 according to the instructions, and I'm just going to go and double check that. Right, and then it's always ready for the next couple of bits to be chucked in. I think that's 22.5. Okay, next you had that, which I don't know, it's probably not, it's just Camden tablet crushed up. It's probably something far better. I don't think it actually says what it is, but it claims to transform the quality of your shitty tap water and promotes healthy fermentation. Oh, hang on, there is ingredients down there. Yeah, okay, fair enough. It's not just like Camden tablet. Fair cop. I see that's like, anyway. I usually with kits, there's a kit there. I'm going to do that kit later because that's, by the way, that's the same people who make these yeast mangrove jacks, and I've done this hoppy porter before. It's flipping good, but I'll use bottled water, but for this I've used it tappy water. So we'll see what that does for tappy water. Sheffield tappy water isn't too bad as far as tappy water goes. And then I've bunged the yeast in. You add that, stir it for a minute. I stirred it for about 2 or 3 minutes because I got distracted. I was listening to something on the news. And then chuck that in and then stir it again to aerate it. So that's all aerated now. I'm going to pop a lid on, pop an airlock on, and then pop it in my fermentation fridge. Done. Now that has taken 2 hours 45 minutes in all. I can usually bang a kit through in about 20-30 minutes. So it's a longer process, hopefully going to be worth it. This fermentation fridge idea, by the way, I'll put a link to, I think the guy's name's Tom. Basically this is the idea that I had anyway, of putting a thermostat and a heater in there. Now this is indoors, this is inside one of the storerooms upstairs, as you can see, with just crap. So it's not going to get too cold, so the heater's probably superfluous. However, you never know. So I'll put the heater in there anyway. That is the probe for the temperature. It's the same little unit from downstairs. I've set it to have a stable temp of 20 degrees. The book of words says, I can't remember, anything between 18 and 25, something like that. I'm going to drop it down to the sort of like the lower end of that. But I don't want it to go below 18 because it might damage the yeast. So this is now cooling down. When it gets down to 20 degrees, the fridge will turn off and it will stabilise at that. For the time being, that is all. We now wait, I think 9 or 10 days, something like that, before adding the next lot of yeasts. Not yeasts, what am I talking about? Hops. That's the one. The next lot of hops. The all important now, it's difficult. I'm going to call that 741074. Well, that was quick. A whole week's gone in less than a second. Now, it's time to dry hop the. I'm doing two at the moment to compare one against t'other. So I'm doing the partial mash. These are the hops for that, and I'm doing the American Hoppy Porter. These are the hops for that. I'm going to sterilise these before I cut them, and sterilise the scissors that I'm going to use to open the packets. And the reason for that is because I'm a clumsy fucker, and what I have managed to do in the past is drop the packet in the fermentation vessel. So that was a sterilising. I then cut them open and chuck them in. That's all you need to do. Oh, a couple left in there. That's where I usually chuck the packet in. There you go. Oh, still a couple in there. Come on. Look. There you go. And that is all you do. Seal it back up and let it keep going. As if by magic, a further 2 days on from the last little video, and time for the last of the dry hops, pack E, to go in. And I'm sorry about the flickering light. I think it's the frequency from that LED. Sorry about that. And that is that. Seal it up and wait for the fermentation to finish. Quick update, day 19 of the Bosses Boss double hopped, and it's still fermenting. I've taken hydrometer readings on the last 4 days. Yesterday's and today's, not a lot between them. Yesterday's was almost 1.009. Today's is almost 1.008, in the bit between 8 and 9, if that makes sense, or in the bit between 8 and 10, I suppose, but oh, you know what I mean. So still fermenting. When I've got 3 days of the same hydrometer reading, I will then rack it. Well, there you go, it's still bubbling. I will rack it and add the finings, and then leave that another day or two, and then bottle it. After bottling it, of course, then we only need to leave it in a warm place for 2 weeks, and in a cold place for about 4 to 6 weeks. So some time yet to go, boys and girls. But in boys and girls land, it will happen really, really quickly. Day 20. And sorry about the flickering from that LED light. Day 20 of the Bosses Boss double hopped IPA, bubbling away still at 19, just under 20 degrees in here, but I did have the door open a little while ago to take a hydrometer's hydrometer reading, and I'm gonna say that this has been sort of pretty much steady for 3 days. It's not the exact science I like, however, it's It's kind of close enough, somewhere between 8 and 10. It's been like that for 3 days. So I am now on day 20. I'm going to rack it into this, which is sterilizing day 21 of the Bosses Boss. So what I'm doing now is I'm racking it into here, which I'll then use to I'll put this then in the cold room at 16 degrees for 2 days with the finings in, and then I'll bottle it directly from that. So the finings will drop everything to the bottom. I've managed to pour a little bit of hop through as I was putting that down into the slurry at the bottom. There's a lot of trub in there, awful lot of trub, which is why I'm racking it now. So that through, boom, into there, through into the cold room, add the finings, put the lid on, wait 2 days, then bottle it. Exciting, eh, boys and girls? Exciting. The final gravity reading, I'm going to call that 1.009, which gives a final ABV of 8.53, something like that. Bottled! Hooray! I didn't use all the same bottles this time because these aren't going to go on the shelf, so they don't all have to look pretty. So I used all the spare bottles that I had. I'm moving on to kegs soon anyway, but I don't think this would have been a kegged beer. This is definitely one of those kind of bring a bottle out every now and then when you want to lay waste. So I got 34, which is 17 litres, and these types of IPAs are quite cloudy. This is, I think, going to be the cloudiest I've done yet. So that's 17 litres, and I've also got probably 1.5 litres there that's settling, and that is the trub, which I've watered down a little bit, and I'm going to try and harvest the yeast. That's settling nicely. I should be able to pull the yeast out of there. So all in all, we now wait and see. I'm going to do something that I very, very rarely do, but I think it's warranted with this. I only bottled this 9 days ago, but I've been cold crashing it now for 3 days. And I had a quick cheeky guzzle when I bottled it, just a couple of mouthfuls, and it was blinding. So as I'm now going to leave this for another 3 months, I thought what I might do is at least just do one bottle now and finish the video. Some sediment, not too bad, I can live with that. Bottle conditioned, and it's got that West Coast American cloudy IPA look to it. So here we go. People walking along the canal are going to think there's an alcoholic over there. Let's have a swift. (8.53%). You can definitely tell it's 8.53%. That is blinding. So that's the Bosses Boss double hopped DIPA from Dark Rock Brewing, purchased from Shop for Homebrew. I'll put links to all of those underneath, and for now, on this beautiful summer evening, I am going to call that a wrap. You know, that last clip did not do any justice to this brew. This has got, okay, it's cloudy. Do you know what? West Coast IPAs I've had cloudier than this, and I've only cold crashed it for a few days. It's been bottled for 9 days, and that is truly a remarkable brew. A little bit earlier on, I did say there's a little thing about the Bosses Boss, because for the first of these kits, they did a promo with a certain McDonald Trump on it, and it's sort of like yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So this is the original whatever thing packaging and tap labels and things. I have to learn how to video edit now to insert those. But I have to say, Dark Rock Brewing, top job, and shop for homebrew. Nice guys. Everybody involved with me buying this, including a guy on one of the Facebook groups, and I can't remember his name, so I'm awfully sorry, but I have drunk most of this. So I'm surprised I can remember my own bleeding name. Let's put that down. Yeah, this is a success, and I am remarkably chuffed with that. That was my first punt at doing a partial grain. Things have moved on a little bit since then, but what a superb brew. So full marks everybody, and full marks to me, and I'm going to celebrate by finishing that glass. Then I've got to wait 10 weeks for the others, but that's all right, because I'm going to do a few more from Dark Rock before then, and I'll do a video of those too. Oh, forgot to say, what am I supposed to say? If you like this rubbish, please click, sorry, not rubbish, if you like this creative endeavour, please click the like, thumbs up thing, and if you think your life is worth wasting on the stuff that I chuck on YouTube, please consider subscribing. Yeah, subscribing to my channel. Yes, for what all that means. Goodly. Thanks ever so much, and I hope you haven't been too bored, but I can't recommend this kit enough. Actually, I should just say that it's shit, and then buy them all myself, because it's brilliant. So yeah, thanks everyone, and that is that.